Nowadays it is that line is no more there. Like only
Hmm.
designers or only product managers think about users. That is so wrong.
What's something else other than this which has basically helped you to get better at craft?
I think observing the users how they are interacting with your designs. Many a times we
Hmm.
forget that once it is shipped, your job is done, which
Hmm.
is absolutely not the case. That is just a half battle done.
How did you start? Just working in general. Um,
I think I started accidentally.
hmm.
I have my elder brother who was into this, and I was always used to copy him. So I thought, let's give it a try.
3.5 years. How has the
Yeah,
dynamic evolved?
it evolved like amazingly. Like every day we feel like if it is not we two together, we don't think we would be able to build a company.
After you have raised the round, I feel like that's literally the first step.
Hmm.
From there on, like you might not know a lot of things even as founders.
The ultimate goal for Peerlist and the vision for Peerlist is to be a super app for
Hmm.
professionals
Hmm.
where they can, you as a professional, you as a builder, can do almost everything and you
Hmm.
don't need to do anything, like you don't have to go anywhere else.
Hello, everyone. My name is Viraj, and welcome to the first episode of Beyond Pixels. This is a new podcast series that I'm starting where I aim to talk to product builders. And also, as the name suggests, the aim of these conversations is to understand what really goes behind designing experiences, which just goes beyond what you really see. And with these type of conversations, we'll try to understand these things from these builders and from their experiences and learn how did they grow to be a better product builder. And for the first conversation, we have Akash, who's the co-founder of Peerlist, which is a modern day networking platform. And Akash has also been designing for the last 14 years when design as a space didn't exist in India. And in this conversation, we have gone from understanding how he started out as a designer to the different things that he has learned over the years to now being a designer turned founder and the different hardships that are faced being in a startup. I had a lot of fun asking all sorts of different questions that I had, certain questions that I used to think of being a designer in the space. And I really had fun just having a conversation with him. So, with that said, I hope you guys also have fun hearing it. And if you do subscribe and share it with your friends. And with that said, let's get started. Thank you, Akash, for joining in. I will maybe start with a personal anecdote. मतलब मेरे को इतना फॉर्मल नहीं होना है बट आई थॉट कि हाउ आई विल स्टार्ट द कॉन्वर्सेशन. तो I have been working for 3.5 years or 4 years now, and I have never used LinkedIn. मतलब I updated my bio ऐसा 2-3 months back because I was looking out for jobs and stuff, but I never have understood LinkedIn. So I think there's a space for a tool like Peerlist, and I have been a beta user. Jab when Peerlist was in waitlist, I think 1.5 years back.
Yeah.
Yeah, at that time I joined Peerlist as a whole. But yeah, I think we will come to Peerlist and you getting into being a founder, design led founder, and all those stuff. But how did you start? Just working in general. Um, what age did you go to college? Stuff like that.
I think I started accidentally. I was doing my product, I mean, electronics engineering in diploma and then got into graduation. And for my graduation, I came to Pune
Hmm.
and I was surrounded by so many engineers because my roommate and uh, many of my friends were from computer science and IT. And I
Hmm.
had a laptop, like new laptop, which I got. And a couple
Hmm.
of my friends were using my laptop to do some .asp coding and all those things like
Hmm.
HTML, CSS. And I thought it's quite interesting because you do something and you can clearly see the output in your browser. And I was just got interested into it. And then
Hmm.
I have my elder brother who was into this, and I was always used to copy him. So I thought, let's give it a try. And one day I
Hmm.
just installed, which was that Adobe
XD.
software. No, not XD. It was for HTML CSS coding.
Hmm.
And I started
Acha.
as a web developer. I was not a product designer at all.
Hmm.
I because that time there was no product designer or even designer as a term. It was graphic designers only, and then web
Hmm.
developers. So I started as a web developer, and it was my first job was HTML, CSS, and JavaScript developer, and that's how I
Hmm.
started. And over a period of time, I realized that all the designs which we are getting are not good enough, and I can do better in that. And that's how I got into design. Then I later joined a very early stage startup from Pune itself, and that's where I
Kisan.
got my. That was my first company where I was a web designer, web
Acha.
developer, and then it was Help Shift, and in the middle I was doing freelancing. So
Hmm.
I used to do a job full time, then I take a break for 6 months, do some freelancing, work on some different projects, and then
Hmm.
go back to 9 to 5.
Hmm.
So that's how got into designing and all those things. Uh, but I think because I worked always in startups, so I got a lot of opportunities to work on different stuff,
Hmm.
which made me realize that what I'm good at, and that was designing, and I continued that.
Okay, so you looked up to your brother for like he was doing a startup, or what was he doing at that time?
He was pure designer who
Oh.
used to design for really really good companies. Like their company used to outsource designing stuff for a lot of e-learning companies.
Hmm.
So he was graphics and then cool motion design and all those things. And
Hmm.
on also as a freelancer, he used to do product design, website design, and all those stuff. So I think I just used to sit beside him and observe, and
Hmm.
it used to be cool to doing web designing because like having websites and all those things were just picking up. It was 2012, 13 of that time
Hmm.
where there was no smartphones,
Oh.
but we had internet cafes. So
One
every time,
second.
yeah,
How 12 years back your elder brother got into design? How?
yeah. I mean, he started with I think animations or something like that because that was
Okay.
cool that time. And but the real money used to come from web designing because it was websites and all those things were picking up. WordPress and then blogger.com and all those
Hmm.
companies were coming in. And there was no Facebook. There was Facebook, but it was also Orkut time.
Yeah.
Um, but and I think that is the time when design actually started taking some momentum in
Hmm.
India as well. So yeah.
Interesting. Is he a designer yet? Like still?
Oh yeah, he's still a product designer. He's a IC. He's an
Okay.
individual contributor, and he's amazing. He's still amazing. I mean, I still learn a lot from him.
Oh, what's his name? I would love to check him out.
His name is Anant Rohankar. You can just go anantrohankar.com and you'll find it.
Oh, shout out.
Yeah.
I didn't knew this. I was expecting like you started with some like ancient tool in designing and then slowly got into
Mm,
Figma and stuff.
No, no, no. I think I was lucky enough to be surrounded by so many talented folks. I, my first job, I was a only designer, but I mean, I was so naive that I used
Hmm.
to use Ampersand and BSP instead of padding and margins. And but I got really great mentors who actually um, they were okay with me,
Hmm.
and they actually taught me. I learned a lot on the job itself, and that was the time when it was rare to have designers. I mean, there
Yeah.
were not so many designers. So we were like, I mean, sell it to the local. So that's what happened. And because I worked in startups mostly, people were open to learning. And I think that was the only thing which they might have seen, that I can pick things up quickly and learn. and that's why I think I survived that initial cold start problem.
And how did you land the first job? Like, did you have some portfolio at that time or what?
No, no. I
Nothing.
mean, it was okay. That this is also an interesting story because I was in second year of my engineering, and
Hmm.
I used to participate in college web designing competitions, and I think I used to make good prize money, like all the competitions, maybe first or second, and that's how I got my portfolio built. So I used to go to these internet cafes to update my resume because we had no internet access at home. And that's how I got my first internship kind of thing in a very small company, which was Kisan, which was just behind our college. So I used to finish my college at 3:30 p.m. and then reach office by 4 p.m. And then I used to work till 7, 8. And that was my internship, which was like my entire final year of engineering, or third year half, and then final year of engineering. And after final year, I think I just joined them full time. I was like, okay, from tomorrow my exams are done. Can I come from 9 a.m. in the morning? Like, okay.
Was it difficult to explain this to your parents? Your brother was in this thing, but like, was there a conversation around design at that time?
It was very difficult. I uh, I got a really good job in a good MNC,
Hmm.
and which was somewhere around three three LPA, which was huge that time. And here I was going to take a job which used to pay me 9,000 rupees a month. So I just told my parents that, you know what, I don't like going into that MNC thing, but I like to work in this small company which is behind our college in a small place. And
Hmm.
I think they were supportive. They were like, do whatever you want, but just don't come back home crying.
Hmm.
Uh, it's your decision and you have to make it right. And I think I somewhat successfully made it right. So, yeah.
Interesting. What kind of work like you guys used to do back in the time? Because abito like I think design is very nuanced. Like it has
Hmm.
gotten very nuanced. But at that time, I feel like कि क्योंकि you are also telling कि web designer मतलब coding भी करते थे, design भी करते थे. So like how was that dynamic at that time?
So the canvas was huge. Used to I used to do WordPress programming,
Hmm.
then Drupal,
Hmm.
all this CMS thing. Then I used to work in Photoshop for doing
Hmm.
graphic designing, and then I also used to work in CorelDRAW because Kisan used to have this thing of designing flex and hoardings.
Hmm.
So I used to design
Hmm.
all those things also. Uh, I did mobile designing for the very first time in my
Hmm.
life because
Hmm.
that was the thing when mobile internet was just picking up and media query in CSS was just introduced. Like that was a very new thing.
Hmm.
So I did everything like from pamphlet designing, from flex designing, hoardings designing, web designing, coding, WordPress, and I think that's what I said, right? Because I did all this stuff. I realized that, or I learned what I'm good at, and I continued in that particular direction. But that time, design was not uh, so much in focus. Like it was not important. Designers were in a supporting roles.
Hmm.
That too, they used to come into picture at very last stage where the deployments are supposed to happen, and we used to be like testers, and we used to just tell them like this font can be smaller or bigger, or we just go and do it in
Huh.
CSS by ourselves. Ironically, there was no GitHub also that time.
Oh.
So it was extremely weird thing. We used to have this one single machine which was a server in office, and all the code base was there, and we have to copy our files to our local, do the editings, and then we have to also check when was this last time this file was updated, and if there are some changes, we have to manually copy paste those changes and then merge those files. So it was crazy time that time, but I think that gave us a lot of um, I think understanding of how things function.
Hmm.
So I think it was a good time for sure.
Does it blow your mind that there was a time when there used to be a server जहाँ पे सब आके अपने repos update कर रहे थे, and to now where there's like a tool called cursor where it's writing code and literally pushing it on its own. Does it blow your mind?
Not exactly, because we anticipated these things a lot,
Hmm.
that there will be such things which are going to happen, which will make things absolutely easy. And there's when GitHub came,
Hmm.
it was a new tool which everybody had to learn because there was no understanding of how Git works because it has merge and then conflict issues and all those things. It was
Hmm.
I remember we had this entire 2 days workshop on how to use GitHub, where there was this another guy consultant came into company for a couple of days and taught us how to use it and gave
Hmm.
us like entire setup and all. So I think, but and these things did not happen that fast. The way AI or cursor you're talking about, it was very gradual. It wasn't like within a 6 months or a year, everything just changed. While
Yeah.
here now, it is like every week things are changing. So everybody is going through that change. So I think not surprised, but excited for sure.
Hmm. Interesting. I think it's been 8 years or more doing
More,
design.
I mean, it was 12, 13, 13, 14 years now.
Damn. I've definitely done not done my research, but like in these 14 years, how has design, like the definition of design, changed for you? Do you look at design from a very different lens? So the reason why I ask this is because, from if you think from my perspective, it's just been 3.5 years, and when I look up to people like Arnab or whoever I've worked with, and the way they have conversations and the way they refer to design, I still need some time to process those conversations,
Yeah.
just the normal conversations as well.
Yeah.
uh, so what's your thought on that? How has that evolved for you as a whole?
So I think me as a product designer or the maturity comes or rather came in past 6 or 7 years. Even
Hmm.
before that I was pretty immature designer, I would say. I was good enough to do things. But I think during that time I understood what is good and what is bad design. That is
Hmm.
something which I had a understanding of like what looks good, what looks bad, what might work, what might not. And so there is this concept of skill and test gap. So
Yeah.
you have this test and then you have these skills, and you basically practice and work to reduce that gap so that your skills match and able to you can give that output which has a taste which you have.
Yeah.
And I think I worked on that for very 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 long time. It did not came in 1 or 2 years. It came after designing a lot of hundreds and thousands of screens and pages. Uh, and I think in past year the design, like past few years, the design definition has changed, not much, but how you perceived has changed for sure. Earlier I used to design like what looks good, and then I joined my previous company which was Athena Health, and it was
Hmm.
a big enterprise company with 200 plus designers in a company. But we used to work as a startup into small projects,
Hmm.
and that is where I met my manager Michael, who was a designer, who was a sales guy turned designer, right? So understand that combo. Like he
Hmm.
was extremely smart into articulating his ideas. He was to extremely smart and precise in conveying and convincing stakeholders about what to do in terms of
Hmm.
designs. And he knew, because he comes from sales background, how to sell. So the 3.5 years I worked in Athena Health, in first week I was asked to go and sit with developers and go on coffee meetings with them. I was like, okay, let's do this. But there was this thing that you need to have good rapport with all your developers, all your product managers, with your team. And then I understood the significant role of a product designer in holistically, like you have you need to have an understanding of business, You need to
Yeah.
have understanding of product. You need to have understanding of your users, and you also need to have understanding of your engineering capability.
Yeah.
So I think those were like mind blowing for me.
Hmm. Also, like while I was working at Olvi, I also had this realization that in a company, especially if we talk about a very small product team as a whole, like designer is the only person who's thinking about the user. Because the developer has to think about the tech which can scale, the things which can be implemented, something that does not break when it goes out. Marketer thinks about taking the product to the user. After that, the experience, they don't really care about it. They care about how many users will use it. The salesperson thinks about what will convert, but the designer is the one who needs to battle for the users. They are actually playing a very devil's advocate in the company, I feel.
Okay, so this might be controversial, but I don't know why developers think that they are the only people who think about users. That's wrong.
Hmm.
That's and if that is the case, then that is extremely incorrect, because
Agreed.
nowadays it is that line is no more there. Like only
Hmm.
designers or only product managers think about users. That is so wrong, because
Hmm.
now even the engineers who are coming into the market, who are designing product, they do understand who will be their last users. It
Hmm.
happened. That's why I told you, like, why I had coffee meetings with my developers, right?
Hmm.
Because they understand what is scalable. For example, even if you give them a design, they are the first users who are going to use your designs and who are going to use your product and who are going to tell you the edge cases,
Yeah.
right? So they are your first users. So they
Hmm.
do understand what users might like and might dislike. And because they being that first user of your designs or your design thinking and everything, directly they do understand what our users need and what our users like, right? Also because of the shift which is happening, and there is now product engineers, there are
Yeah.
design engineers, right? So those I so the similar statement like product managers used to make, that only us who understand users so well. And I used to laugh like, you're so wrong. That's not the case. Everybody understand the user. And I think maybe because I work in such companies where everyone was exposed to users, everyone can just come and go into the call with users and talk to them. Maybe that
Hmm.
was because I came from that background. Uh, so I think no, not only designers. Everyone, I think nowadays everybody knows their
Yes. Yes. I just meant that it's difficult for an individual to think about the user if their role is not to serve experience. I know it is like if the product loads late, it that it's the developer's job to basically make it faster so that the experience improves. But yeah, I get your point in that lens.
one more thing which I want to add here, like
Yeah.
uh, for engineers
Hmm.
specifically, when they are designing APIs,
Hmm.
for example, when they the most important work for them is performance of those APIs, right? They absolutely have to work on that, how faster they can make so that the experience becomes better. We do
Yeah.
think that this is technical thing, that they have to optimize the performance and all those things, but in the end they are actually optimizing their work for end users, which is performance first thing. Second is
Hmm.
figuring out the edge cases. Third thing, how delightfully they can handle errors,
Hmm.
right? And then there are so many other stuff, for example accessibility for front end engineers, uh, the responsiveness and all those things. Engineers do understand, I think, all that part. And uh, they those things are directly connected to users. Earlier they might not know that they are connected with the users, but now they are. So yeah.
Got it. Just a minute back, you also mentioned like there's a difference, like there's a gap between taste and skill, and
Hmm.
the lesser the gap is, the better the designer you are technically. Uh, how did you really improve on that? One thing that I feel like is a very like a no brainer is like doing a lot of design and seeing a lot of design. But what's something else other than this which has basically helped you to get better at craft?
I think observing the users how they are interacting with your designs. Many a time we
Hmm.
forget that once it is shipped, your job is done, which
Hmm.
is absolutely not the case. That is just a half battle done. Uh, a lot of so a lot of people talk about Peerlist UI UX. It is so good and all those things, but that was not our first iteration. That
Yeah.
might be our sixth or seventh or eighth iteration, which people actually see today.
Hmm.
Because when we shipped the first thing, or anytime whenever you are, let's say, shipping one workflow and
Hmm.
then observing that how it is performing, maybe go and talk to users, see what they are talking about, what the difficulties they are having, what they are liking, what they are not liking, where they are feeling that there is a friction or there is not correct communication, like design is not communicating well.
Hmm.
And when you pick up those things, and all these things happens after you ship things, right? Which is like next 70% of your work. And then you come back, then you iterate, then you go again, you come back, you iterate. And that is when it becomes that really good design. On first go, it is never the best at all.
Yes.
If that happens, and over the experience, you basically reduce that iteration cycle with experience that comes, because now you started developing the intuition that this might not work and this might work. That's the difference
Hmm.
between a new designer and a seasoned designer, that they just reduce this iteration gap, maybe by 30-40%, and that's the only thing.
Interesting. um when we talk about design, like, this has happened with me also when I've worked apart from the company work or whatever work I do for an org. Like, a lot of even the agency or the freelance work that happens, a lot of people think that design is basically what happens on Figma.
Hmm.
But when I worked with, let's say, at Olvi, I realized it's just an end point. Matlab, it is, there's a journey after that and there's a journey before that, and design on Figma is a very minuscule part of the whole process. What
Absolutely.
do you think? What do you think, apart from the design execution, if we can call that, is important for any young designer or any designer to basically know about or like think about being better at, so that they can be a better designer or a better product person in general?
That's a good question. Many a time we, even in many ways, what we see is Figma designs, or what we see is
Yes.
just the front end or the UI and all those things. But mm, many new designers, because they haven't worked on a product which is out there and there are thousands and hundreds and thousands of people using it, the lack of that actual users and not being on production, uh, they cannot understand that, which is obvious
Yes.
and which is okay also, right?
Hmm.
That is when you are designing something, there is a lot of process which goes earlier to understanding, and there are a lot of context which you need to understand from the stakeholders, maybe, or if you are the own person who are doing it, then you need to
Hmm.
have that context and nuance of what you are going to do, what are the objectives. So one mindset change which every product designer need to have is, don't design the uh, like uh, just screen to screen. You need to understand the entire workflow of it, right? There is this entire journey which happens in designing. Most of the part happens in Figma, but when you
Hmm.
actually go into designing development part, you understand that is your stage maybe 3 or 4, when the engineers are working on it. You need to
Hmm.
have like closely monitor what is happening with your design, and you might figure out a lot of loopholes into your workflows.
Hmm.
And then comes the next part, which is like when it goes to production, and then there are a lot of things which go wrong because of your design. You might have
Hmm.
missed some very edge case, you might have missed a very obvious thing, then you again
Hmm.
come back, then you fix it. Sometimes you have to go to Figma and fix it, sometimes you have to just go to the engineers and fix it.
Hmm.
And as I said, it's again an iteration. Figma is, as a designer, it gives you that dopamine, when you are designing and shipping those very well polished pixel perfect designs with great shadows and then very nice border radius and all those things. That is the dopamine which we get as a designers, but we don't have to get addicted to it. We need to get out of it and make sure that there is this real thing which happens after that, and we have to accept it. It took me a lot of time to accept that. Like after starting Peerlist, uh, I used to get so much high by designing screens, but that was not my like first job. So there are so many other things. I have to talk to users. I have to take the
Yeah.
feedback. I have to look at what is happening. So yeah, I think e- as early, so that actually puts you into that top 1% of product designers if you have understanding of this. If you
Yes.
if you just go to your founder or your stakeholders and you just
Hmm.
tell them that you know what, this looks good, they are going to discard you as a designer. You won't get a seat at that table. But if you go and say that, you know what, I talked to users, then I did this, I showed them, they loved it,
Hmm.
and I think this might increase something, or this will change, or this is the impact of this. And then they'll be like, come sit, let's have coffee and talk.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The first time at Olvi, I know I'm referencing Olvi a lot because it's a big part of my career till now. But the first time when uh, the user genuinely liked what was made, that feeling was very unreal. Uh,
Yeah,
like at that time, I realized that जो अभी तक मैं कर रहा था, that was just a theory. Practical, though, it went out when the user liked it,
yeah,
and from there on, like I still feel like ki I need to create more. That's definitely there, but I slowly, every time such interactions happen, I realize how, like, there's no end to the design, so to speak.
absolutely not. I mean, absolutely not. I learned a lot from when I had this understanding of business part
Hmm.
as a product
Hmm.
designer. When I learned the impact which I can create,
Yes.
and I become really good and confident product designer when I understood how to measure my impact on the business, right? And when you know and when you measure your impact, uh,
Hmm.
it it it's a superpower. Then you have tremendous amount of confidence to push your designs, right? Then
Can
it
you
gives you.
talk a bit more about this? Like,
Okay,
what do you exactly mean by this?
okay. So, uh, for example, peerless onboarding. This
Hmm.
is a workflow which we iterate every 2 months or every month, I would say. Every month
Okay.
we just go and make one change or iteration which is absolutely necessary and which we think might improve our onboarding.
Hmm.
So when we started, uh, we had conversion of maybe 2 or 3% from our
Okay.
onboarding, like starting to complete only three, which was extremely low,
Hmm.
right? Then we introduced, then we had this hypothesis like, what if we give LinkedIn import? That actually
Yes.
improved our onboarding to 22-23%.
Hmm.
Right now, I measured the impact of one change. Later on, we realized that our onboarding is into three steps. Can we
Hmm.
just make it into one single step, and how we can do that? And when we did that, our conversion again doubled. I
Hmm.
measured the impact. And next time, when imagine if I'm a young designer and who is going to my product manager or engineers or the founder, telling them that, you know what, if we make this change, it will convert. Now I know that I can measure the impact. It will, I am assuming that it will increase our conversion by 20%. Do you
Hmm.
really think your founder will say no? I mean,
Hmm.
just the idea of that is so good that it excites you. And then people start taking you seriously on your team because now you
Hmm.
can measure your impact. As an engineer, it becomes very easy to measure your impact, right? Because you ship
Yeah.
things that are functional, which people use. But as a designer, how you are going to measure your impact?
Hmm.
That is so cool. Like once you realize that, and once it becomes your brand, for example, in let's say in Albi, you have this brand of, you know what, if Viraj is coming with some iteration, we have seen instead of 10, it was improved by 6%, which is also
Hmm.
good. If
Hmm.
he is saying 20, we might increase by 12% this time, which is again amazing. I won't question you, right? I might ask you few questions like how we're gonna do this. Do we have those much of resources? Do we have this
Hmm.
like need to prioritize it and all those things? But if you're coming and telling me that people like 20% people will convert more to the paid plan, I'm like
Hmm.
leave everything and let's do this. And that's the designer and product designer's job to come up with.
Hmm.
And
Like
that's
selling
it.
your designs. Selling your design
Exactly.
is also something you need to know.
But selling by having that strong
Yeah.
validated hypothesis behind it.
Yeah.
I can sell anything, right? If
Yeah.
I'm a senior designer, I can sell anything. Or if I'm a
Hmm.
founder, I can do anything. But having that understanding and backup to why you think so, that is important.
Yes. Interesting. Um, is there anything else that you do apart from design in terms of like art in general? Like I know you do photography. Is there anything else to that?
I do urban sketching. I used to.
Okay.
But then for some reason, I just stopped that. Couldn't get much time to do it because it's a very intricate process. And uh, I thought I'll continue with that, but I couldn't. But then I took a more challenging job now, a challenging hobby, which is like uh, film photography. But that is fun. That is, I mean, I'm just loving it. I might continue doing it. Now I have a collection of what 7 cameras, which are like
Yeah.
vintage. But let's see.
I saw your website a couple of days back only you posted, no? The where you are basically documenting your photographs
Yeah.
that you've taken.
So
That was
that I vibe coded
yeah,
by the
that's
way.
complete. There's no design that you did with your
No, I designed it in Figma first.
okay.
I wanted to understand what I'm going to do,
Huh.
and then I used Figma Make
Huh.
to make it and vibe code it. And then I had all these learnings of because I wanted to do something which is or vibe code something to understand how all these things work and improve my prompting, how I
Hmm.
prompt and all those things. And I wanted something exciting, which is like really I'm excited about, and it should be a small scope, not too huge. And I was not allowed to touch our Peerlist code base. So that is when I did this, and it was exciting. Like I did almost a lot of things, a lot of frustrating experiences, but like how to deploy it. First time I used Vercel, and first time I used database and Supabase and all those things, and it was amazing. I loved it. I might do it again.
Interesting. Do you see a correlation or do you see okay, so I have recently started filmmaking. Uh,
Hmm.
I also have this tattoo. I do more. I don't know if you
Yeah,
know Casey Neistat. Do you know
yeah,
him?
yeah.
So Casey has the same tattoo, and I have been I almost look up to Casey. उसका photo भी है this one and this you see ये जो
Yeah,
बीच
yeah.
में है, that is
Yes.
one of the specs of Casey like
Yeah.
handcrafted by one of my friends. So I'm a huge fan of him, and I always wanted to start filmmaking, and this is also one of the ways of expressing that area. And I realized that I have now started to look at a lot of things from the lens of how I design also.
I
Does
I
that
have
does that
yeah.
happen?
Okay, so I have this is exactly how you build test,
Okay.
right? That is exactly how you basically become a craftsman.
Hmm.
It's not only about what you design in Figma. It's
Hmm.
never like that's your output, but there must be some input which is coming in from aesthetics point of view, from functionality,
Hmm.
from things which you absolutely adore, and things which you like to see and you feel nice when you look at them, right? So, and I also did this. I did cinematic videos of my travel before I started Peerlist and all those things. I also have YouTube channel where I have all these things. We also designed these short all these new feature videos for Peerlist as well. and they are out there. So that, like, that understanding, like what shot and how you're gonna film it and what will be your post processing and what kind of aesthetics you want or the vibe you want for that video, all these things actually matters. And
Hmm.
these are all ways to figure out what feels nice, what works. Because when you're doing, let's say, filmmaking, right, it's not about only aesthetics, it's also about storytelling. And that is one
Hmm.
of the most important part as a designer. You need to be a storyteller, right? As a
Yes.
founder also, it is one of the most important skill one must have as a founder, that you need to be a storyteller. You have to tell people, users, why they should use, investors why they should invest, and your engineers why they should work with you, right? And you have to tell them story, like what we are going to do, how we are going to do, why we are going to do this, and where we will be. And all these small nuances of doing all these things basically comes collectively and helps you become a whatever product person or a product designer or even
Hmm.
a founder.
Hmm. Hmm. I saw this one Peerlist only. The unfinished project, was that the
Yeah,
name of the video?
yeah,
You
yes,
directed that?
yes. We shot this. Me and Yogini only. We both of
Yogini
us.
was the face, no? I was
Yes.
like, I've seen this face, but I was not, because it was dark lighting, no? So, and also face shots were very less. There were like
Huh,
different angles,
huh.
and it was
So
shot at home.
yes. So why we did that? We do not have a very nice looking, well organized office space, right?
Okay.
Why we shot it at night is so we so that we can so that we can hide a lot of things. And
Yes.
the concept was, as a builders or as programmers, you basically work at night. Like that is when your most of your productive time is. And
Hmm.
that was the thing. That's why we chose that we should keep it in the night, so
Hmm.
that we can also hide a lot of things which in the background, and we just focus on what things we need to show so that our story goes ahead. And that's how we did that. And it we used to like just come back from office, and in the night, maybe for 2 3 hours, we used to shoot, because we have to bring all this setup outside and do the shot take those shots, and then we again come back. So it took us like 1 week to do all those shots and all. So that's, I think, you figure out things, um, and it works.
Anurag Kashyap. He's the that's a guy. That's very similar to how Anurag also thinks about it. But I was actually gonna say that I yesterday only uploaded the first video which I filmed. But now that I know that you have made that video, my video won't be as good as for you to see. But yeah, uh, I really like that video, the unfinished project.
Yeah.
Have you been to the Holy Land, SF?
Oh yeah, I mean, I stay there for a couple of months,
Oh.
and then me and Yogini, we both be there for like 1.5 month, and then be in India
Hmm.
for a couple of months, and then again go back. So we're shuttling between these two locations.
Why? Like Arnab also did this, but what's the purpose of the visit?
Okay, though I will use some filters. I think uh, I think there is this very obvious thing. You
Hmm.
have, or I'll talk in my context of Peerlist and me and Yogini as founders. We are trying to build a product which is global. We are not building for any specific demography.
Hmm.
And when you look at the history of all these big global products, majority of them got built in Silicon Valley.
Yes.
And there is a reason for that. And
Hmm.
first reason is the conducive environment and the people and the mindset, and also the density of that talent which is within that 100 kilometers of Bay Area, right? And another thing is, you have to be in the middle of an a place where that actual action is happening to understand that why people go to let's say Vaishno Devi or all those places, right? You can do
Holy
all of
land.
that sitting at your home, right? You can pray to God. God is everywhere, but why you have to go there? Because you need that, that vibe to go into that zone. That is one thing. And
Hmm.
I went there for the first time for when I joined ODF, and it was like a couple of weeks. At the same time, I attended Figma config, and after the Figma config, I met Taylor Field for the very first time. I spent what 15-20 minutes with him one on one. Then I met uh, Ivan Zhao, who is the CEO of Notion,
Yeah.
and all these things happened within 15 days, right? So
Did
these
you
are
have a, sorry to cut, but did you have a internet presence at that time to be able to meet these guys, or it's just that the environment there is such that people meet?
you you get those people. These people are accessible there, right?
Hmm.
You go to, let's say I went to Figma config. I
Hmm.
met few people, and I in the same evening we went for some meetup or something, which was for designer founders,
Hmm.
which was in Notion office. And you get access to these people, right? They are not going to come to India or any other place, which is rare.
Hmm.
And these are the people who have built multi-billion dollar companies, who has multi-million users.
Hmm.
So, and to meet them and to have that 15-minute conversation with them
Hmm.
gives you a different energy altogether,
Yeah.
right? And I have seen after coming back from SF for after those 2 weeks trip, my mindset was different. Like I was thinking big.
Hmm.
I was more confident about building this thing. I also had a vision of how I'm going to build Peerlist. I also understood what kind of vibe I want to give when people look at Peerlist, and that does not come if I'm sitting in Pune or India or anywhere in India. For
Agreed.
that, I have to go to other places, and obviously SF is the place. You're walking, you see on the right there is A16Z office. On the left you look at Cloudflare. You move couple of blocks, you see Twitch office. You move couple of blocks again, you see Vercel. You move again, you see that there is a big hoarding of OpenAI, which is hiring engineers, and that is all happening within like 50 kilometers square kilometer of area.
Hmm.
You have you ever seen um, Snapchat doing advertising like billboards? But they do that in SF, right?
Hmm.
So that is all different kind of a vibe and energy altogether. And this might look little superficially when you listen to this, but another practical reason is there. One is you have all this community of founders who have built
Hmm.
amazing and great products. You have access to these people. You can just go and talk to them, maybe ask for a coffee and maybe spend 15-20 minutes. Or you can just go to their offices and talk with them. You have this amazing, strong network of investors who actually take big bets, and there are so many these amazing engineers who are out there. We went to a small hackathon which was organized by Mentlify.
Hmm.
And I met engineers from OpenAI, I met engineers from Claude. That's different, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing.
Interesting. Let's just take a step back. Let's now talk about, you have some time, right? Like
Yeah,
15-20 minutes.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
awesome. I wanted to talk about Peerlist now. How did it happen and stuff. But before we jump into that, when was the first time that you experienced this problem? But like I'm assuming that you experienced it firsthand, um, because of which the rest of the journey happened. But when did that happen?
Okay. So me and Yogini both like design and engineering. During the COVID or somewhere like second half of this COVID lockdown, everyone was on online, on Twitter, on Clubhouse, and everywhere, and everyone was getting amazing opportunities and jobs in these big companies because there was this huge hiring spree going on. We realized that, what, we also need to upskill ourselves,
Hmm.
and because otherwise we cannot just sit home and do all these dalgona coffee and all those challenges. We have to spend this time more wisely and like use it and utilize it. And that's why we started designing. I started writing about designing. Yovani started writing about her engineering journey and her learnings, and it was very super simple of what we're doing. And that's how we realized that. And we also got interviews and all those things. And that time we realized that, what, we also need to have a portfolio. So let's build
Hmm.
that. And because of interviews and all those things, we couldn't get time to finish it. And we thought there must be some other people also who are facing the similar problem. Why not let's build something as a side project which
Hmm.
might help them to showcase all their work, which is spread across the internet on a same page. And that was a
Hmm.
simple idea of Peerlist profile. There was no networking kind of thing at all in our mind also. And as a product designer, you want to validate your hypothesis. So I designed something in Figma. I created a form and we sent it to like around 500 people from our network. We got 200 plus responses, and
Hmm.
that validated all ideas which we were thinking of.
Hmm.
And that's
Hmm.
how we started building. And we just uploaded one simple landing page, and more than 1,000 people joined that waitlist within a week. That was a validation that we were like, okay, fine, let's build this. And we started building it as just a fun side project. There was no pressure of building a
Startup.
startup or a company out of this. And I think that is a very good thing because we had no pressure and we were just having fun building it and we were enjoying it. And people were appreciating the way we are designing and the way we were shipping. And that's how we got our users, early users. And even that's how we also got our first angel investors. We got reached out by Vishwesh, and he was the first, like, he reached out first for as a user to ask for the invite code, and then he checked the project and he was really loved it and wanted to invest and was looking for if we are open for the investment. And that was the time when we realized that, okay, if someone can trust us with their money, we can like give this a shot, a serious one. And that is when we became very serious. Um, so when we raised our angel round, obviously we had to leave our jobs, and the first tranche of money came when Yogini resigned, and the second came when I resigned, and it happened within like 3 or 4 months, and it was the most exciting and nervous time for both of us because we, being married co-founders, leaving jobs, both of us, was extremely nerve-wracking decision for us in terms of finances, in terms of personal reasons and all that. But I think we were sure what we were doing and what we wanted to do, and we fortunately we got really good angels like Vishwesh and Akshay who actually trusted us and gave us a lot of confidence and guided us how to go about this because we were first time founders, not knowing anything how to do things. um, After the commitment we registered the company and all those things happened. Till then it had nothing because we were really enjoying building the product than a company, and even now that's the case. And I think that took off, and we got then we got a lot of users and started we started building this. We then launched uh, publicly, and that is when Dharmesh reached out to us. He created his profile, and I was so excited to see him because in 2012, 13, whatever you search on Google, for some reason you will end up on HubSpot website. Their
Hmm.
content marketing was so top notch, right? That was the case. and that's how I knew him, and I always used to look up to him. And his message was, "You must have, you might not know me, but you must have heard about my company HubSpot, and I am the co-founder and CTO of HubSpot." I was like, "Okay, interesting." But I was so excited. I showed this message to Yogini, and look who is messaging us, and that's how we started talking, and then and we raised our pre-seed of 1.1 million, and then here we are.
um I actually had a question of how was the uh like how who reached out, because I was also very excited even when I saw the news that the CTO of HubSpot basically put in the money. And that is also a very big validation even for you, that someone who's been in the SaaS space, and HubSpot is actually one of those tools which has shaped a lot of behavior in the CRM world.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
you
absolutely.
like, there are modern day so there was this project that I was working on, which it was kind of related to CRMs. So I went and researched about it, and that's when I like developed a lot of respect for these like tools which existed in the market a while back. Even like Jira and HubSpot, like these tools have essentially shaped a lot of behavior.
Oh yes.
And coming from someone like them, it would be a big
These,
thing.
I mean, these tools came in the market when SaaS was not term, like as like it was not that cool. It
Yeah.
was mostly enterprise, and when HubSpot came, I think they were competing with Salesforce, and they carved out their own market, and they went ahead with all this. As I said, I used to end up on HubSpot website for searching anything, and that is what their strategy was. They were going like bottom up approach, become like behave in a way that you are a consumer company, like B2C. And I think that's how their model was. I'm not sure, but then coming this validation from him and trusting us with that, it was huge thing. Like it was so huge. We were like, I remember very clearly. Uh, we were raising that round, and I saw his email at 5 a.m. in the morning for some reason, and I woke up. I switched on the lights. I woke up Yogini. I was like, just read this, and he had this message like, okay, let's go ahead and we will close this round and everything. And uh, the best part about it is all our investors from that round um, are all founders themselves. They are actively building something, and I think we became absolutely fortunate that we got them as founders and as our investors, because they would understand us very well. Being a first time founders, it's extremely important to have people in early stage who will help you grow and learn, and at the same time give you that space to learn
Yeah.
and to make mistakes basically. And that's how it worked out. I think it's working out so well. I sometimes again like it feels like it is um, it's unbelievable sometimes, but then you work towards those things, and then you try to, I always call it manufacturing luck, which is
Acha.
you put out so many things outside, you tell your stories, you do a lot of bets, you do a lot of things, you do very subtle positioning of your product, that those signals basically goes out and manufactures these opportunities for you.
Hmm.
And that is what happened with uh, Dharmesh as well, with Vishwesh and Akshay and all our angels, and even with our users. We got so many amazing users. We never thought of having them, but it happened. So yeah.
How is it? How are the conversations with them after you have raised the round? I feel like that's literally the first step.
Hmm.
From there on, like, you might not know a lot of things even as founders, even though you have the complete context of your company, being in the space, taking the product forward. How When do you go to like these people who have done a very big thing in their life, and like how is the relationship with them?
So it's so amazing. Uh, The very first conversation, or like after the initial conversations and after we closed the round, Dharmesh has had clearly told us that I have this hypothesis of founders are always right.
Hmm.
They know about their business more than me. They know what to do with their businesses more than me. And I'm always a bounce board. If you have any questions, if you have any ideas, if you have any doubt, if you need any answers, you can just reach out to me. And then, and this happens, this is a pattern. Whenever we go and ask something, there will be questions just to understand the context. He won't directly jump to giving us the solution. He will understand what is happening, he will understand the context of it. He also gauge where we are leaning, and with his experience he will give us a, sometimes he give us a very concrete answers. And this is I'm talking about all our investors, not
Hmm.
just Dharmesh.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and they will just give us some suggestions, which are not something they tell us to do. And most importantly, which I like about them is, they always appreciate and they are always looking. They, if we do something, they will reach out and they will tell us this was nice, or this is something I'm pursuing it. And that helps us to navigate through uncertainties, and we have this confidence that there is always a fallback, that these are the people we can go and ask them
Hmm.
questions. And the another best thing is, if they don't know the answers, they will tell us that I don't know.
They don't know.
And which was like, when people like of this stature tells you that they don't know, then your imposter syndrome goes away. Like, you're like, okay, fine, these people also don't know. After having billion-dollar companies, then we are just getting started.
Yeah.
So I love that thing about them.
Interesting. Yeah, I think good investors are like good mentors. Uh,
Absolutely. I mean, and you have to be extremely lucky and cautious about that when you are
why
choosing them.
cautious? Oh, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, we heard the stories.
Hmm.
So yeah,
While choosing them, yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Um,
And every
yeah.
time when we had these angels, it was not, first thing was never about money.
Hmm.
It was always, we used to look up to these people. And when you get a chance to work with them, that's a huge opportunity for you. And you are getting money for that, to work on your idea. That's, getting money from them is just one like advantage which comes with you having access to them, right? And it's incredibly hard to get access to such people.
Hmm.
So I think we are fortunate enough to have that.
You also mentioned that like first Yogini left and then you left, right?
Yeah,
Uh, 3.5 years. How has the
yeah.
dynamic evolved? Just between you both as co-founders and as husband and wife.
I think
How has the dynamic evolved?
it evolved like amazingly. Like, every day we feel like, if it is not we two together, we don't think we would be able to build a company. The reason for that is, only we can like manage each other in a best way possible. Because I have certain pros and cons as a person, she has some certain pros and cons as a person and as a founder. And I think that works out for us, because
Hmm.
when you are a founder, you are 24/7 working,
Yes.
right? It is, there is no pause. There is like, we don't remember going on a vacation in past 3.5 years. We have gone, but again, we used to open our computers, laptops, and then do the prod bugs and all those things. So it was just a fake vacations which we did for 1 or 2 days.
Hmm.
So after, uh, and and because we are in this same office and 24/7 together, we also understand ki, okay, why she is so grumpy today. Because I know that there was this prod bug which is like giving her immense amount of trouble for past couple of days, and that's why she's grumpy. And so I know what's happening. Same for me, if I'm grumpy about something and if I'm upset about something, she knows why I'm upset, because there are few things which are not going the way we want, or
Hmm.
we are not able to execute, or we are not able to get the outcome which we were expecting. So that's why there is no communication overload on us to manage our partner, right? So it gives us that energy and that time we can actually put back into Peerlist,
Yeah,
and that's just amazing. And another thing is, we have our separate areas of where we want to focus, and we have
yeah,
this line that if I'm saying this is let's say design or product decisions, or engineering or product decisions, or marketing, uh, we have certain areas. Like in design, she won't say, or if I will be the person who will take the last decision. With respect to engineering, she will be the one. So I think that works, and we have been practicing this since 3.5 years, and we are perfecting it, and we are at a level where we do have disagreements and fights, but those are always in the office, and those are always about peerless. So it, and for some reason, a lot of thinking, like our thinking, is 99% same. Uh, so for that 1%, we just don't talk about it.
hmm. Basically, you have a compatibility even outside of work.
Huge amount of, like
Yeah,
huge. So uh, even like everything, like even our travel decisions, even our food decisions, and all those things. So we made in the middle, um, and it works. I think even again, if it is not with her, I don't think we will be able to pull this off.
yeah. I think if you want to work with anyone in general, you need to have a relationship which is which is not just a transactional one.
Exactly.
And being co-founders is literally being, there's no, maybe there's no hierarchy involved in that sense, but at the end of the day, you are the decision maker for most of the things.
Yeah.
So if that's the stage, then that's the most important, I feel.
Yeah, and then there are two more things
Hmm.
for co-founders. One is trust between these two people, and second is the ego or
Hmm.
the enviness, right?
Hmm.
Which comes in at some point, and which becomes a point of friction. Not for everyone, but most of the time when there is conflict of interest or co-founder conflicts, these are the two things which happens most of the time.
Hmm.
We have eliminated that by getting married, right?
Hmm.
So so that's not the question at all now.
Coming back to the product, uh, I really like it. I do have some thoughts about it, but first of all, like, how would you define Peerlist? Would you say it's a social media platform or it's a networking platform? But then the lines get blurry there. So how would you define it as a whole?
So when we started, it was just a single tool which helps you to create a comprehensive profile of your work, where you can showcase everything about you from different platforms. That's how it started. Then we
Hmm.
had more than 20-30,000 people creating their profiles, and they started asking, can we connect with these people? We're
Hmm.
like, okay, fine. Then we build a network kind of features which connects these profiles. Then came a stage where a CTO reached out to us telling us that there are people applying to our jobs using Peerless profile.
Hmm.
Can there be a thing where we can create our company profile, post
Hmm.
jobs, take these applications, and maybe search these people instead of directly posting? We're like, fine. Then we had this company profiles and job posting and all those things.
Hmm.
Then came a time where people wanted to reach out to each other on Peerlist, so that maybe for jobs, maybe for asking for new opportunities or collaboration. That's when Inbox came in.
Hmm.
Then we had this another thing, like people are like, you know what, I also want to share what I'm working on. Can we do that? I'm like, okay, fine. Then we had this
Scroll.
scroll where you can post things. Then came a place, because all the kind of people who have something to show, who are creating their peerless profile, had
Hmm.
these side projects, and they were always building something.
Hmm.
Then came the launchpad, where you can
Yeah.
basically launch your side projects.
Hmm.
And that feature came in. And now we become a place where builders hang out. So it's a professional network for builders. And due to AI,
Hmm.
the line between everyone, like designers are coding and developers are designing and product managers are
Hmm.
shipping MVPs left and right because of AI. So the definition of builder, or that uh, what we call it, that targeted users, is broader now.
Hmm.
So all the builders who can build something should be on peer list.
Peerlist.
That's as simple as that.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's a professional network of builders. I am not saying designers or developers or product managers or founders or anybody. If you are building something, you should be on peer list.
Got it. Even I have been noticing this pattern with a lot of SaaS that earlier it was like if you wanted to do one thing, you would go on a particular tool. And even if there's some other use case that you want to go for, even though they are related, you will go for something else. But now I feel like there's a holistic experience which is being formed where, let's say, if I had to just give an example of, let's say, linear, for example, uh, early Jira is just there for moving tickets, but then Jira has Confluence, but it is a different app. But when we talk about linear as a modern day SaaS tool, the documentation is coming within, the sprint management is getting within, task management just becomes a part of the whole process.
Yeah.
And I feel the way you also described, I feel there was some relevance to how the other tools are also shaping them.
The ultimate goal for Peerlist and the vision for Peerlist is to be a super app for
Hmm.
professionals,
Hmm.
where they can, you as a professional, you as a builder, can do almost everything, and
Hmm.
you don't need to do anything, like you don't have to go anywhere else.
Hmm.
So we, and in this past 1 year, our positioning is big, getting very clear and clear.
Hmm.
The reason is, uh, one is, we were targeting specific like users, designers or developers first, but now
Hmm.
we are focusing on builders,
Hmm.
and there are so many builders out there because of AI, and we need a place where just yapping and sharing uh, that nonsense content and do the influencing stuff, that is going to go away, because people
Hmm.
can clearly see what you're talking and what you are doing.
Yeah.
And it is becoming absolutely clear, because we have seen who is losing the jobs in this market, and there are still people who are making millions of dollars out of this market, and we're just focusing on that particular area. People who are
Hmm.
going to build are going to out there.
Hmm.
And let's say the existing professional network was built 20, 25 years ago. It did not change at all.
Yeah.
But the way people are hiring, the way people are building, the way people are executing things, the way people are upskilling has changed dramatically. And we need a platform where you can
Hmm.
showcase that
Hmm.
and basically create opportunities for yourself. And that is what
Interesting.
Peerlist is going to do.
Interesting. Yeah, I feel like LinkedIn, I feel like it's just very outdated. Like I've never landed a job, like I've never even had a meaningful interaction with someone on LinkedIn. Like I still date I receive uh I received couple of days back that would you be interested in a design internship? I was like, dude, but yeah, I get it. I see the
Because
evolution.
because it has no context. After looking at your profile, I cannot tell whether you, just looking at your work experience, you have a 3.5 year of work
Yeah.
experience, let's say. How can I, again, how can I validate that? But
Yeah.
if you have a peerless profile where I can see you worked in this company, you built or you designed these
Hmm.
many things, what you are sharing, what you are writing, what you are working on, I can see all of that. And that
Hmm.
is the best part of peerless profile, where I can get this all these amazing signals about Viraj, who, what he do. He's not just a product designer.
Yeah.
He is a builder who is doing videos, who is doing podcast, who is doing writing about designing and all those things. And
Hmm.
that is the designer I want to work with as a founder.
Yeah,
And
makes sense.
and that is exactly what how the hiring is going to happen in next, or it already started actually.
Yeah, yeah. Peer list gives you an overall image of the person.
Exactly.
That's the way I would say it. Uh,
Exactly.
Apart from what I do, also I write a blog that adds up to my personality. But that's not like, how would I like? I have faced this problem a lot where I find it very difficult to just showcase ki these are the things that I do. It's not just this one thing.
Exactly.
Um, yeah. Um, but coming back to LinkedIn, one I agree with you that it's not evolved. There are things that have changed, and LinkedIn has still stayed the same. But one of the things which is there towards LinkedIn is the distribution and the scale that they have achieved over the years of time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How do you see that? Does it like if I had to like broaden this question 10 years 15 years down the line, where Peerlist has also evolved as a product, how do you see both of these tools shaping up? Do you see that LinkedIn will die at some time and tools like Peerlist will be there in the market? Like what's your hypothesis, and how do you see about the scale and distribution of LinkedIn as well?
See, there are people who are using linear and there are people who are still using zero.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to carve out your market. Uh, what happened? I mean, I won't comment a lot on how LinkedIn function. I have huge respect for LinkedIn and how it got built. The problem is, as you said, you think that this is a advantage for LinkedIn that they are so huge and everything. Actually, that is one of the disadvantage for them because they cannot move fast.
Yes.
Second thing is they can afford to not solve certain problems because of that scale. What if tomorrow they just change their profile to look like Peerlist? They will lose 90% of their users because
Hmm.
they cannot they cannot use that, right? So it was started as an address book, a contact book, and it is still like that. It just instead of just a photo and a name, there are certain more information which is displayed after your name. And
Hmm.
then obviously they have this huge advantage of network effect, which is extremely hard to crack. There are many people who have tried to crack that but failed, and there are many product which were trying to be LinkedIn alternative but got closed in past few years. We need to understand that this is a long game. You cannot do this in 2 years or 3 years or 5 years. It's a long game. It's a slow process, and you need to wait for that tipping point where it will just start exploding. And we as founders, that me and Yogini, we both have this one thing: just don't die to reach that tipping point. And we know that is very close,
Hmm.
right? And when we started, like when we resigned a couple of years back, we told us that we have to give at least 5 to 10 years to this thing, and then only we will be able to um, build what we want to build, or make Peerlist what we envision it to be. It's not a short game. It's not a wrapper on something and where we can just sell it as a SaaS. Building a consumer social is extremely hard thing, right? And there is another thing: if you go viral, there is this problem of retention. But if you go grow gradually in the beginning and keep that retention high or proportional to your growth, that is going to help you when you have that uh, growth explosion,
Yeah.
and that is going to happen very soon. So I think you have to bet on Peerless or bet on a product which is going to compete with LinkedIn for a longer time, and it will happen. Eventually, it will happen.
I hope it happens, and I am personally very excited for that to happen. I want to
Yeah,
see like Peerless take all the different shapes as it will take in the next few years, and how it will evolve. But I think that's a good point to end this conversation. I do have a bunch of more questions, but maybe we can hold them for the next conversation. Maybe whenever there's something substantial that you want to announce on Peerlist, maybe we can have a conversation just about that at that particular time.
Sure thing.
But
I think very soon
yeah,
we'll have something like that.
yeah, we can do it again. We should basically, like, I really loved this conversation. Just apart from uh, the work and you as a designer, I was able to see the journey. uh,
Yeah.
and this being the first episode, I this will mostly go out really soon, but with conversations like these, that's what I want to get. um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I hope you had fun. I hope you had
Yeah.
like fun talking about Peerlist and you in general.
Absolutely. I mean, it gives you that when this situation comes in, this gives you the opportunity to go and introspect and retrospect things. That helps a lot. I usually avoid and going on podcast and talk because it feels really weird for to me to go and tell things about yourself and all those things. uh, but I, because this was more about designing and I was more comfortable talking about it a lot. So and obviously I know you for a very long time, saw you doing some amazing stuff with all me, and all the best for what you're doing next. So yeah, thank you so much for having